The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is sponsored by Two Fat Lardies, Geek Nation Tours, and by the generous donations of you, the listener. We really appreciate your most generous support. Thank you ever so much, guys. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast, episode 241, catching up with Baccus 6mm, with hosts Neil Shook, Mike Whittaker, and the return of the great guru himself, and guest Peter Berry from Baccus 6mm. This show was recorded on the 17th of January 2018. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. As always, my name is Neil Shook, and on this show we'd like to welcome, well, first off we have our resident troubadour. It is, of course, Mr. Michael Whittaker. Hello, sir.
How do? And by a process of deduction, given the normal order introductions, you can tell who's not here.
You're giving the game away.
I think most of our listeners are actually savvy enough to figure out what order you normally introduce people in.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes, how are you? Have you recovered from the shock of the weekend?
Yeah, just about.
Good.
That was quite something. That was
excellent. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, listen to the end of the last show. Sorry, it's American football related. I do apologise.
Skol Vikings!
Don't worry, give it 3 weeks, it'll all be over. Yeah,
one way or the other.
One way or the other, indeed. And contrary to popular opinion that we'd left him rotting in a cell somewhere, or in fact we just knocked him off completely.
I thought Hobbsy had offed him, actually.
Well, there was a nasty rumour going around. We are joined by... It's the great guru himself. Hello, Mr. Luff.
All hail Guru Luff.
Hello guys. How you doing?
Clearly.
Back from illness.
Better than you since better
September.
Than you by the sound of things, mate.
Oh dear. I've just been. Don't go on holiday to Spain in September. That's what I say. Yeah. I came back very ill, as you do know, Neil, and I was ill for about 2 months. And then trying to keep the business going whilst being ill, and, well, it just doesn't do you any good, really. You just don't get any better.
Hence, you're still suffering 4 months later.
Well, I picked something up over Christmas. I was fine over Christmas. I did get right about 2 weeks before Christmas, while everyone else I know around me was like dropping like flies and were on steroids and all sorts of stuff for this thing that I had. Yeah, I managed to get over it without the aid of any medicine as such, because I'm not very keen on banging myself full of meds if I can avoid it. But with hindsight, I probably should have.
Yes, well, welcome. I mean, what could we say? You've missed so much. I mean, yes. We have missed you, but you've missed Biscuitgate and all sorts of things.
I know Biscuitgate. I'm sort of trying to catch up where it was.
You missed Hobbsy deciding that frugal wargaming is the way forward.
Well, a lot of people are seeing the light now.
We weren't supposed to tell him, Mr. Whittaker.
I know.
Oh no, but it's more fun if you do, and then we don't tell Hobbsy we told him.
Yes, because Hobbsy isn't going to listen to this, is he?
Well, there was a rumour that someone actually admits there's such thing as dilution theory now, and it actually exists. I heard.
No, that's just a nasty rumour. That is.
and there was
Vile
there was
slap.
video evidence to prove. Right here.
I couldn't possibly comment.
Wasn't me.
It's been an interesting few months while you've been away, but welcome back. Welcome back. It is good to have you back on the show, mate.
Let's hope I can stay well enough to stay on it for a month or so.
I was going to say, let's hope you can stay well enough to get to the end of the show. Yeah.
Well, possibly.
There's a limit as to how long we can make these podcasts. You know?
Oh, dear. Just get some more scotch down me. I'll be all right.
Well, actually, I mean, obviously, immediately, I think part of the problem is that you're obviously missing sugar in your life. So, now that Mr. Hobbs has released the biscuits.
Well, are they biscuits? Surely they're cookies.
Sorry. Yes, now Mr. Hobbs has released the cookie rations to us in the Midlands. I can come and give you some. I can come and give you something to give you a bit of a sugar rush.
Oh, so I wasn't expecting a load of scones to turn up then.
No, it's cookies, not.
It's cookies, not biscuits.
Cookies, not biscuits.
You say scone, I say biscuit. You say cookie.
You say muffin, I say great big fairy cake.
Indeed. Anyway, so yes,
Tomato.
yes, and to add to the debate, I think my favourite was the Nutter Butters. Nutter Butters are.
You eaten all the Nutter Butters?
Can't argue.
No, I've eaten one packet of Nutter Butters. You have a packet of Nutter Butters and a packet of Chips Ahoy.
I bet you did them in one sitting.
There's only 4 of them in a packet, mate.
But you hammered them, didn't you? So there you go, hammered them. Didn't make them last, didn't nurture them. Oh, I don't know. Are they really a biscuit?
What, Nutter Butters?
Yeah. Well, they're not really a confectionery.
Well, no, they're not confectionery. They're a
Okay.
cookie.
I'll wait and see.
Right. So, just to sort out what we've got coming on today's show, we're going to be talking with Peter Berry from Baccus 6mm. It's been far too long since you've had Peter on the show, and it'll be nice to catch up with him and everything that's been going on with Baccus. So that's what we're going to be doing for our main interview.
For which it should be noted that this will be nowhere near as bad for your wallet, no matter how much you start drooling, as some previous episodes of this show.
Indeed.
You just buy more of it. That's the problem.
But you could buy a complete ACW force both sides for £80, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but 80 quid's never enough.
Shush, David.
Trouble with 6mm, you start getting ideas and delusions of grandeur, and you go, "No, I'm doing it, 50 to 1 real scale. Ooh,
Is this
I could do it more. I could do it 20 to 1.
Is this the great Guru Love talking?
6mm doesn't really count, to be honest.
Oh, right! 6mm doesn't count.
Only as long as you actually have armies that you've actually painted up, and you're just not creating a miniature lead mountain like some people do.
And how many 6mm armies have you got, Dave?
Unpainted?
No, painted.
Oh, quite a few.
Just checking.
Really? How many have you got painted, Dave?
3, 4, 5.
Take your shoes off.
I don't know. I don't know. 6. Oh no.
6?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I can think of 4.
Well, I've got 5. Command Horizons.
Yes.
Napoleonic French. Napoleonic British.
Oh, you got Napoleonic French?
Yeah, you've played with them. You know.
Oh, okay.
Celts.
Celts and Romans.
Romans. What else? I feel like there's another one somewhere. Don't know. Maybe there needs to be another one. Perhaps that's what it is. They're big armies as well.
Okay, so we've established a new rule of Luff that 6mm doesn't count.
Well, it just takes up so little room, doesn't it? That's the thing. It takes up so little of your wallet expenditure. That's the other thing. But the problem is with 6mm is that you end up going, you know what? If I just spent a bit more, it'd be like 1 to 5. And then you go, oh, right, yeah. You know what? If I spent a bit more, it'd be 1 to 1 scale. That's what happens.
And let's face it, when you kind of look at the discussion we will end up going into, where where you start talking about, especially element-based games, where you suddenly think, "Oh, hang on a second. Yes, if I went to how many 6mm figures can you put on this size element?" Or so there's an example that Pete uses for his Romans. And he basically says, okay, you can have you can have a Roman cohort, and you can define your Roman cohort as being on a base, and then let's see how big a base you can make and how many figures you can get on it.
Well, 60 odd, right?
I think he's got to a point where he has is it a 120 by 60 base, and he has and it is something like 300-400 figures on it for a cohort. And it's like, that looks cool. Because it's just like, it is a massive infantry.
60 men in a Meeples, a bunch of those together in a curve. Yeah, you do that, no problem.
Yeah, not a problem at all. It's just a counter. Anyway, we digress.
Counter.
Yes. So we'll. So at that point, so we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll chat about what we've been up to over. Since we last got together, Mr. Luff, this could be ages.
I must get through to Sergeant Watson's position. Jenkins, cover me.
Sir.
Whoa. Sergeant Watson, bring your men in. Withdraw.
It's all right, sir. We're enjoying ourselves.
What?
Yes, sir. It's these here chain of command rules, sir. We're having great fun.
Chain of command?
That's right, sir. It's a challenging but fun blend of command and control. It gives me the freedom I want to fight the way I want to. Never had so much fun, sir.
And we've cooked you some sausages.
Can't be helped, sir. Me and the lads are staying put.
Chain of command, World War II, platoon level rules from two fat laddies. They really put you in control. And they're even better than sausages.
What have we been playing? What have we been buying? We might even have painted something. The Meeples and Miniatures crew reveal all. So, it's that time where we catch up with what we've been up to. And since it's not been on for absolutely ages, Mr. Love, what have you been doing with yourself?
Being ill.
And? Anything vaguely hobby related?
Well, we've been doing a lot of Dungeon Saga of lately, which is a good thing, and Conan. So we've been doing a lot of that, haven't we?
Yeah.
Which has been quite good. I did make a purchase. Well, I didn't make a purchase. My mother has now decided that I'm the most difficult person in the world to buy for Christmas.
Oh, right.
And it's like most of my family have decided that now, from when apparently I was the easiest person ever to buy for. But anyway, not that really I go much on having stuff anymore, really, because if you have stuff, you just got to find somewhere to put the stuff somewhere. Anyway, I suddenly thought, whilst I was working one day, I know, I could get the latest Dungeon Saga expansion. Now, what's it called? Eye of the Abyss?
This is, of course, because you do actually own the entirety of Dungeon Saga, don't you?
Yeah. So I toddled off to those great people at Firestorm Games, and I was like, because they'll have the best deal on, and they do free shipping, inclusive shipping in their price, and I've got an account, so there'd be no hassle. So I went on, and it was the retail price is $34.99, And for a new expansion from Firestorm, it was $31.49, and I thought, well, that can't be bad. I shall order a copy post haste, and it came. Now, to be fair, I mean, I didn't have this brainstorm until probably a week and a bit before Christmas, so I really was setting Firestorm up not to be able to get it to me by that time for my mother to wrap it and put it under the Christmas tree for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it arrived about a week after Christmas. Great service from Firestorm Games, as usual. Came in a very nicely packed box, and everything was all nice and secure. And then I opened the box, and I was actually around my mum's because it was delivered to my mum's house. And the first thing she said, "Is that it?" And I was like, "Yeah." But being me, I'm going, well, there's a lot that goes into these things. You're paying for your IP really here. Not always paying for everything. But as I opened the box and found that really I had about, I think, 6 adventures and 7 adventures,
2 new campaigns and 13 new missions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 figures and a half pack of, what was it, Infernal Crypt figures. Yeah, and that was it. There wasn't a lot in it, to be fair. If you can...
No new dungeon tiles?
No new dungeon tiles.
No new dungeon tiles, but then there are quite a few abyssal ones in the previous Ujit.
Yeah, but...
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah, expansion. But having said that...
That's the word.
Yes. The previous expansions all come in big... well, with the exception of, is it the black... whatever it is, it came in big boxes. Yeah, those those big tomes that look like books. And how much were they again?
Well, I mean, I'm looking now. I mean, they're retailing at $29.99.
They're retailing it. The RRP is $34.99.
Yeah. So you're looking at exactly the same price.
Yeah, you are
for Abyss. And to be honest, I was pretty disappointed. I mean, I don't know what Mantic were doing when they were doing it, but it looks like to me as if they've just hoovered up all the bits that were left over and stuffed them in the box, and then put an errata in there and a frequently asked questions section, and then charged like $34.99 retail for the pleasure of it. It's I mean, I bought it because I was like, well, I like the whole system. I want to support it. I want to encourage Mantic to make more. So I'll buy it now. I won't wait my normal sort of 6-7 months before I actually go and buy it when I need it, to support the product. But I mean, crikey, to say I was disappointed was, well, compared to everything else, I thought it was rather lacking in value.
For those of us who are Dungeon Saga completists, it's an awful lot of money for not very much.
No, that's it. I mean, and I haven't played the adventures yet, so these might be amazing adventures that they've crafted. Spent hours and days and weeks crafting them. But
or not.
To look at the box as it stands, I was very disappointed indeed. Yeah,
I can see your point.
For a completist, someone that wants all the stuff that comes with it, I would say, yeah, you can go and buy it probably, but I'd be tempted to wait about a year and go and buy it when it's not at full price. Yeah, unless you really desperately need it.
If you only want the scenario book, there's at least 2 copies on eBay going for peanuts.
Is there? Yeah.
If you want the figures as well, you can get the Denizens for 18 quid. I can't see anybody selling the heroes yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, it did just look like they'd hoovered everything up in the office that was, any IP that was left over.
When you consider that the Return of Valandor is also 30 odd quid, and there is a metric, you get for Return of Valandor, you get 1, 2, two big figures, a bunch of undead, 3 new dungeon tiles, 6 new adventures, and a whole bunch of new item cards and spell cards and stuff.
There wasn't actually even any mantic points inside the box either.
Well, that's just a rip-off. no mantic points. Come on, stop right now.
I haven't been able to find them yet. If they're hidden somewhere, I haven't been able to find where they are.
But the thing is, being Dungeon Saga, it's likely to be a good little fun scenario. But it does seem a bit, from what you say. I mean, I've not noticed it was out, which is a bit of a slip up on my part, since I'm as much a Dungeon Saga completist as you are. But it does seem a bit much for what's in there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and then some of the other add-ons that are, let's say, smaller. Well, no, say the same sort of size content-wise, and they're priced a lot better. I think to charge $34.99 for that expansion is over gilding it a little bit. I think really, compared to everything else, maybe if they'd have charged, I don't know, £26 for it, maybe might have been a bit more worth it. But as it stands at the moment, I don't think it's particularly good value. What did you reckon, Neil, when you saw it? I hope I showed you it the other week.
I can but agree. Yeah, as you say, compared to what's come before, I would suggest you got probably, looking at pound for pound, you've probably got at tops £20 worth of stuff compared to what you get in the other expansions.
That's including the box to put it in.
Well, yeah, quite. Yeah, so it's very, very, very disappointing. It just kind of make you wonder whether that's it for Dungeon Saga. Whether that this is going to be the last thing we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they. Well, I mean, it all comes down to commercials, doesn't it? And it's all about selling stuff at the end of the day. But
But if they're doing that, then and they produce something like this, they're really not doing themselves any favours.
Not in the long run. No, they're definitely not doing themselves any favours in the long run. Because in future, I will take definitely a second look before I buy it out of hand. I mean, I just knew it was out, so I just went straight on the website and I just bought it. Yeah, I think if I'd have known what I'd have known now, I probably wouldn't have.
Who are you, and what have you done with Dave?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Impulse purchasing completist. It's not you, Dave.
Yeah, that's right. Well, for Dungeon Saga. Well, the thing is, it wasn't. It was just. Well, it was because my mother was desperate to get me something for Christmas. So, and I thought, oh yes, I will buy that at some point in time. And the lads are sort of slowly, let's say a Neil way, rattling through the quests,
failing to open doors.
Yeah, failing to open doors. Big strapping dwarf that he is.
Indeed. Yes, we worked out that actually the best person to open the doors appears to be the halfling.
Wizard.
But yeah, well, anyway. And of course, the other thing, because the joy of that is that we're actually playing with a full set of painted miniatures, haven't we?
Yep, yeah, we did. When I went away in November, managed to get a few days of painting a few hours painting every morning before anyone else was up, which was quite good. So I managed to rattle through them all that holiday.
And very nice they are too.
Yeah.
Cool. Is that about it then, mate?
That's about it, really. Apart from trying to stay alive. I don't know what it was I picked up in. I mean, I went away in September to Spain, and I mean, I really love Spain, but I came back because I went to Malaga, and I came back with something, and crikey, I don't know what it was. I was all right there, but it was the next day when I got off the plane, and I just never shook it off. Crikey, yeah, don't want that again.
Yeah, it was nasty. Just talking to you on the phone.
Well, that's right. I've been gaming stopped for a good few weeks, didn't it?
Oh, it did. Oh, it didn't have. Yeah, it didn't have.
The bunker was closed.
Right. Well, that's okay. So that's Mr. Luff. Shall I go next?
Go on then.
Okay. Right. Painted stuff. Not since our last report. Haven't actually done an awful lot of modelling on the whole. Been busy doing other hobby things, primarily like podcast editing and a bit of gaming and what have you, and then a few of the domestic things. But no, the model painting, construction, etc., has taken a bit of a backseat over the last couple of weeks. So I'm hoping to get back into that soon. I hope. Okay, so nothing much painted or constructed. Played. We had a really good game of Conan last week. That was a really good game. And yes, especially at the point when I discovered that ever since we started playing Conan, I'm playing the Overlord. I've been playing the Overlord wrong, which certainly made a bit of a difference when we were playing it last week. Yes, for some strange reason, I always thought that the event tile, the Overlord, was a one use only, and once you played it, you removed it from the game. No. I don't know whether I just kind of read it somewhere and made that rule up or what have you, but no, that's not the case at all. So yes, discovered we were playing Conan wrong, but had a really good game with that. And then on last Monday, finally got Battle of Britain to the table. Completely bendy planes, which was we were really impressed with it actually. This is
yeah, we do note that PSC have just literally today sent out a mail saying they've got the non-bendy Spitfires and Hurricanes.
Yes, and they're hoping to,
and the rest will follow. But German multi-engine planes are harder. TM.
Indeed, and so what they're going to have to do is, and obviously it's getting to the point because they're produced in China, it's all revolving around Chinese New Year, and whether they can get them produced before Chinese New Year. So we will see them. But anyway, bendy planes aside, Battle of Britain is actually a really good game. As I played a learning game, so we only did kind of like half of the first scenario. But we got through everything, and it all kind of went together and made sense. And yeah, it really captures, kind of like a strategic overview of playing the Battle of Britain. So, the British player is potentially really up against it from a point of view of trying to cope with all these waves and waves of German bombers coming over, and trying to keep airfields in service. Trying to keep radar in service, while at the same time, trying to keep all your planes in the air. Oh, no, it's cracking game. Looking forward to playing that again. Really impressed. They have done a good job with the game. It's a decent game, despite the disappointment with the planes. But as you say, they are addressing that. So, and then, have I bought anything? Well, I haven't bought anything as such, although I have backed a couple of Kickstarters. Following on from our last episode, I've backed fourth quarter football quite heavily, actually.
I haven't. Expect me to come visit.
Fair enough. Back fourth quarter football to get 2 full teams. So yes, you can come visit and play 11 aside.
Skull Vikings!
Not that influenced you at all. And that's me. Which only leaves Mr. Whittaker.
So, not done much gaming, because it's that time at the club where we have, on the first bank holiday in January, the AGM, followed the following week by the scenery audit, for which the committee are actually required to do some work. So, Monday evening was spent basically going through the scenery cupboards, going, oh my god, why do we still have this? Can we throw it away, please? Trying to put it all back in the boxes it was originally labelled in, which usually lasts about 2 weeks, and taking home a 35-litre really useful box of things to fix this week. Which is fun. But it's part of being on the committee, so we do that. Purchases. Purchases. Yeah, I bought stuff. I pledged stuff.
Have you?
I have pledged the Streets of Rome, a printable tabletop terrain for Ancient Rome Kickstarter. Which has currently is one pledge level, which is €40, for which you get 4 SDL files of Roman townhouses designed to work in 15 or 28mm, and a whole bunch of stretch goals, which include corner houses, a limes tower, a gatehouse, a round turreted gatehouse, a complete wall set, a legionary field camp, some fortification buildings, is that one unlocked yet? That might not have unlocked yet. No, the fortification buildings haven't unlocked yet. They're sitting at where are we? They're sitting at 3,500 out of a £226, convert from euros, obviously, goal. It was a 300 euros goal, so £266. It's going to pledge. They've got previous. They've done other good stuff. It's a group called, where are they now? 3D Print Terrain. This is their 10th Kickstarter, so I think they know what they're doing. In fact, I missed one that I probably ought to have got my hands on earlier, because they did an Italy to Spain one not so long back, which included some Spanish and Mediterranean buildings, which I'm sure I can find a use for somewhere. So that was that. Also placed an order with the good Mr. Turner of PE2 Collectibles. There's a bit of history in that. Mm-hmm. Stronghold Miniatures used to do a range of stuff for the home front, local defence volunteers, home guard, including a Beaverette armoured car, the Smith gun, the Northover projector, and the Blackguard bombard, all of which are as incredibly boffinish and silly as they sound. And they went out of business or closed down. Somebody on the VBCF forum acquired the moulds. I paid them for a set, and they never turned up. And the person in question has vanished without trace. And Warlord have just brought the whole damn lot out. I don't know if I suspect it's a completely new set of sculpts. But so I have picked up the Smith gun, the Northover projector, the Blackguard bombard, a Beaverette armoured car, an Armadillo converted truck, and for reasons which made me giggle like an idiot, a Mark IV tank. So, the story goes, you'll like this one, Whale Island, which is HMS Excellent, the Royal Naval Gunnery School in Portsmouth, had some tank gunners being trained in 1916. In 1919, just after the end of the war, they got delivered a Mark IV male training tank, which basically had been sat around for the 20s and the 30s, on display, being kept clean, as in you lad, you are a horrible little scrope, go and clean the tank, kind of kept clean, I suspect. And in 1940, Second Lieutenant Menhinnick was brown-nosing the army, Navy, because he wanted to transfer from the army, and basically went to a lot of trouble to get it running again, stealing a bunch of stuff from the presentation tank that's sitting on South Sea Common and fitting a machine gun on top. It was intended to be used to defend Portsmouth in the event of a German invasion. So I just had to have one. The tank was retired from active service in 1942, and it's actually the one at Bovington. Isn't that fabulous? Yeah. Other than that, I've been working on the Dux Britanniarum Compendium, and as of having finished the website, I am now officially Millhouse Studios for Wargames writing, etc. stuff.
Cool.
Which will be the-mill-house.org.uk. The website, it will be going up pretty much once we've finished recording this podcast, just to sort of drag everything I do hobby-wise together into one place. Yeah. There'll be links to the blog where I shall keep blogging in the usual place. It's just that'll stay for things like just notes of what I'm currently working on, what I've had published, etc., etc., etc. Which means I probably need to talk to the taxman sometime before October this year.
Right.
You're supposed to register as self-employed, even if it's as a sideline, by the October of your second tax year, which will be this coming October. So that's what I've been up to, and it's back to properly nose to the grind, writing the Duxbury Compendium, as the aim is to get the thing finished to a state I can throw it out the first batch of proofers and external place testers by the end of January.
Cool. Excellent stuff.
So that'll be me.
Okay, fantastic. Well, that's what we've been up to. So we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be chatting with Mr. Berry from Baccus.
The nation is vast. There are battlefields of old, great convention halls, and worlds of fantasy to explore. Who will guide us across this great geek nation?
Since 2010, Geek Nation Tours have been providing holidays for groups of like-minded people. Whatever your nature of geek, tabletop gaming, TV, film, comic books, sports or science, Geek Nation Tours caters for you. Visit www.geeknationtours.com for more details and join the great Geek Nation. Have you ever wondered what's going on in wargaming? We do too. So come with us as we go behind the hobby with the Meeples and Miniatures interview. We are very pleased to welcome back to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast after, well, it's been an awful long time since we last interviewed him kind of officially. We've caught up with him at the odd show, but now we've actually got him in the Meeples bunker. It is Mr. Peter Berry from Baccus 6mm. Hello, Peter. How you doing?
Hello, Neil. What a build-up. I'm fine, thank you.
Well,
and all the better for having a chat with you.
It's great to have you back on, especially since, in the meantime, you've been speaking to, that other American podcast.
Oh, yeah, your friend, but not your rival. That's what he said.
Yes. Yes.
Neil hasn't got any friend. Just acquaintances.
Well, it's got to be a friend. He sends us biscuits.
Yours are laced, apparently.
Peter, it is great to have you back on. As I say, it's been far too long since we've had a chance to really sit down and chat about and catch up with everything that's been going on with Baccus. So it's great to have you back on.
Well, it's always fun to be here. It really is.
So basically, I think from our point of view, it's really a case of trying to catch up with where you are and what you've been doing. I mean, the last time we spoke to you and had you on audio, I think was Salute, if I remember rightly.
Right.
And obviously, lots happened since then. But at the time, you were just talking about remodeling of some new ranges and coming to the end of the Western Front 1917 range, and a few other bits and pieces. And obviously, an awful lot's happened since then. So, if I take you back and let's look at 2017 and say, okay, what's been going on with Baccus in the last year?
Oh gosh, right. It's been a case. There's been two main themes for 2017, and it's a lot of new 20th century releases. So the Great War especially has had a lot of love and attention, and we'd spent a good part of the latter part of last year just finishing off the Western Front ranges, which we've done quite successfully, and then moved theatre. An awful lot of customers wanted us to go straight into doing the Eastern Front and get all the Russians out, the Austro-Hungarians. But in typical Baccus bloody-minded fashion, we decided to do something completely different and move to doing the Middle East.
Oh, cool.
Well, we thought so too, and I think it's actually been quite a good decision. I think at Salute we just released the Turks, or a major part of the Turkish range, the Ottoman Turkish range, which proved to be quite a challenge as we found ourselves adding more and more troops to the original plan codes as we produced Arabs and various variants on the basic Turkish troops. And it's turned to be quite a big range, but again, it's been great fun doing it. And I've had a wonderful painting some of these. So that took up a major part of 2017 for us. towards the latter end of the year, we were just able to get the first of the opponents, the Turks. We got the Anzacs out. And all that has done really is just open the floodgates to people asking us when more new stuff's coming out. But we can talk about that a bit later. Yeah. But yeah, the Great War has been exceptionally popular, and we've had quite a good time doing that. Now, the other stuff we've been doing has more been in the case of resculpts. Oh, sorry, 20th century stuff. How can I forget World War II?
Indeed.
A smaller mission. Yeah, we were finishing off on that. We have a basic strategy for bringing out the Rangers in this. We've been producing infantry and support weapons for the British, German, and US forces for late war, 1944 onwards. And we reached the end of that again, I think around Salute time, when we released the Fallschirmjäger. That's now pushed us onto the next phase of the programme, which we're really beginning to be pushing this year, which is to start getting the artillery and the armour out. But again, you want to talk about that a bit later, I'm sure. But that was quite a major hurdle for us to overcome, is getting the last of those done. I think, as I mentioned in my end-of-year report on the Baccus website, when we actually started doing the Great War and the World War II Rangers, which was only in 2014, we did not have a single 20th century code on the books. In the intervening 3 years, we've completed Western Front, Great War. We will have very shortly finished the Mesopotamian, and we shall have, with a bit of luck, the Eastern Front Great War completed by the end of 2018. I think in a 4-year time period, that's not bad. When you add to that we've got all the infantry support weapons done for the 3 major participants for World War II, and if plans go as they should do, you'll be getting a flood of support stuff for those in terms of AFEs and equipment. But I'm quite pleased with our rate of production on that, and long may that continue.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, when you first started the Great War range, I know we talked at the time, and you were kind of saying, if all goes to plan, we'll get everything done in the space of the 4 years, because obviously you as you're working through all the centenaries that we've had over the last few years, and you're kind of thinking, there's an awful lot to produce. So sounds like you've kind of just about kept on track and schedule.
Yeah, I would have to say that's probably more than accident by design. I think we muddled through it a few times. But the important thing is, it's like whenever we do a range, is not to get distracted. There's far too many companies. I think we've all fallen victim to where somebody has started a range full of hope and expectation. They get halfway through it, and then they jump onto the next thing that comes along, and you see manufacturers with ranges like Swiss cheese. They've got holes all the way through them because they never actually followed through on that. We've been very boring. If we say we're going to do something, we will do it from beginning to end. But it does mean we focus on that. But it pays dividends in the long run, I think. And certainly, I know our customers appreciate that.
Yeah, sure.
But that's all the 20th century stuff. We do other eras, we do other periods. And one thing that we've had to do increasingly over the past few years is replace a lot of our older Rangers. It's been absolutely vital because the moulds have been wearing out, especially on the more popular Rangers. And last year saw the completion of the replacement of our Spanish Succession range, which is a core foundation range within the Baccus codes. That's proved to be exceptionally popular. And what I did towards the end of this year was produce a whole series of new flags to go with those. And again, those have been very well received, so I'm very happy with that. And following on a very similar process, we began to replace some of our older English Civil War codes. And that's really a project which which crosses over into 2018. So I'll talk about that a little bit further when we talk about plans for the future.
Mm-hmm.
On the rules side, we managed to get a new polymorph set out, which we haven't been able to do so for a number of reasons over the past few years, but we're getting the impetus going on that again. And we had a very innovative little set called Ruse de Guerre.
Yes, Ruse de Guerre.
And it's a lovely little set. It isn't what I would call a typical polymorph set. It's a little more flexible in its approach, very, very stripped down, very streamlined, producing a very quick game. And Ruse de Guerre covers war in the Americas, so during the 18th century. So it covered the French and Indian Wars, the American War of Independence, and the War of 1812. As these were written by a Canadian, it's not surprising that two of their wars were actually covered in one volume. I think they wanted to just get the message out that there is actually campaigns going on over there in the New World. And yeah, they have been very, very, very successful.
Oh, cool.
We're really, really pleased with them. And yeah, well worth a try. If nobody's actually heard of these and they're into the American War of Independence or French Indian Wars, highly recommended. And even 1812, I've had some customers actually use these for retrofitting back into the Napoleonic Wars.
Oh, right, okay.
Mainland Napoleonic Wars.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting because they're not really designed for that. But yes, there's a lot of scope in there. And it's a great way that the author Glenn Pierce has put the whole thing together. They have proved to be so successful. So yes, very, very pleased with those. And it bodes well for next year.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, as you say, that they're very flexible in both size of engagement that you play with and scale of forces, and they do kind of diverge a little bit from a lot of the polymorph rules that we've seen before. And one of the things was it's like okay, there isn't a kind of hard, there's not kind of a hard and fast set of army lists, really, is there?
No, I say it's a very different approach. There aren't any real hard and fast army lists, any of the polymorph rules, to be honest. We generally work around either scenario based or one of our army generators.
I like polymorph army generators. I think they're great fun.
Well, I do. Again, I think to me the test of a general is not how well they manipulate a point system to produce the killer army for the tournament. It's how well you're given a situation and given a force and told to get on with it.
Yes.
And the army generators are designed logically. Again, if people aren't familiar with these, I'll take a little time to explain. If you were to use, say, a Napoleonic army of 1804 French army, you'll throw dice, and if the dice were to just give an average number every time, you would get a very, very typically balanced Napoleonic French army of 1804. The right number of cavalry, or the right quality, the right infantry, the right quality. As every wargamer knows, dice never quite behave how you expect them to. And you're thrown, as I say, you may end up with a beautiful hardcore veterans with odd sprinkling of really nice units in there, or you might end up with an entire army of conscripts which are totally unsuitable for the job. You might end up with cavalry how to defend a bridge. You play with what you've got, and we have found you've had some tremendous games on that basis, and without a hint of, say, having to manipulate an army list to create something which is ahistorical, because you're warping history out of all recognisable shape, and you also manage to get a scenario which is fun, because while it's competitive, it's not points competitive. So you can play game hard, but you can both take something away from it. So yes, I'm a great believer in these things, and I'd recommend that approach to anybody writing any set of rules. And if anybody isn't familiar with them, I'd recommend you get a set of any one of our polymorph rules and have a look at how they work.
No, I heartily agree with that. As I say, it's that approach of, okay, here's your scenario, and your force is effectively randomly generated because that's basically okay. These are the troops that were available at the time. Now go and get on with it. And it's that approach is which I'm sure would have some gamers holding their hands up and kind of going, in horror. How do we do? How do we cope with this? But if it's
well, how would you have done it in real life?
Oh, quite.
Your force doesn't mysteriously metamorphose because what you thought was a straight road now has a broken bridge in the middle of it.
Exactly. Well, I've had people seriously years ago when I used to play ancient wargaming a lot say, I don't know why so-and-so army ever bothered with this troop type. It's rubbish. I always leave them out when I'm buying my army. Completely missing the point that so-and-so troop type may have been rubbish, but it may have been all they had to hand in quantity. And you just didn't say no to what you had given. You just used it.
Yeah, which is why I like the concept that quite a few rule sets have of this is your core force, like it or lump it.
Mm-hmm.
The way Loddies do Chain of Command, you have an infantry platoon. You don't get to do the bolt action thing and minimax your infantry platoon away just because you fancy some shiny toys.
Exactly. I mean, it is historical gaming we're trying to do.
It's terrible, isn't it?
We must keep that nod to history, surely.
Couldn't agree more.
But it doesn't mean it has to create a bad game. It creates, I think, a more fun game because you don't have that straitjacket of restrictive point system around it.
Preaching to the choir, mate.
Oh, very much so. Very
Never
much so.
happens on this show.
Sorry, I digress. So yes, Ruse de Guerre. Yes, sorry for interrupting you on that. So as I say, Ruse de Guerre was produced.
That and the Toy Soldiers I've just mentioned was quite a full year. And really, the question you need to ask is, so what's coming up in the next 12 months, Peter?
So, are you going to say it or am I? What's coming up in the next 12 months, Peter?
Well, I'm really glad you asked that question. Okay, so let's.
Well, I must admit the first thing I was relieved about was the fact of having talked to Simon Miller about his new For King and Parliament Civil War rules that he's been working on. I went to the Baccus website to look at a 6mm English Civil War force, and at the time when I first looked, you couldn't get hold of everything because, like, for example, the cavalry were missing. It's excellent news that they have now reappeared. I mean, interestingly enough, is that kind of a bittersweet thing since, like, that English Civil War force is that was one of the first things that you sculpted, wasn't it?
It was, yes. That and the WSS were the two, core rangers, two first rangers I sculpted very personally for Baccus. Now, over the years, I have not had the time to sculpt, and B, I found people who can do it better than me anyway. So I've sort of taken a back seat on that. Yeah. But yes, we've been replacing rangers which are very, very dear friends. They've had to go, but it's been a bit hard. But what they've been replaced with, the quality of them has like more than compensated for that. And I think if you ask any of my customers who've got the new ones, a comparison between the old and new is substantial. The quality gap is quite large, and the new stuff is quite outstanding.
Cool. So yes, I must admit, English Civil War is back on my radar. So I thought, that would be cool to do that. That would be cool to do that in 6mm, and they're only small armies.
How many painted 6mm armies you got now?
Dave, leave the poor man alone. Right?
One.
You don't need to put him through this. Right.
I was going to say 0, but then I remembered I do actually have one. I do actually have one painted army. Anyway, what was the phrase?
Well,
moving swiftly on.
Well, moving swiftly.
Well, one question I wanted to ask, which sets you apart probably from a lot of other manufacturers of all scales, and you've sort of alluded to it already or touched on it, is the fact that not only are Baccus constantly bringing out new ranges, but then you also go back and revamp your old ranges, and like a lot of figure ranges don't bother doing that. And so obviously you have problems with the mold you've always said wearing out, but was that sort of, what actually happened where you suddenly decided, we need to revamp as well while we're at it instead of just redoing some new molds?
It's quality. I mean, I mean, the molds wearing apart is a big driver. And I've got to say, at the bottom of this comes money. If we can only spin a mold and we only get 50% acceptable castings out of it, it's time to replace the mold. But that's also something which sets off in me, let's have a look at this. I could make a new mold using the existing master figures and create a duplicate of what we've been selling for the past 15 years. Or I could take the time, and I'll say the money as well, to make something better, because we can. And if we can make something better, then why shouldn't we? That's just a driver. And then...
Because I think you're pretty sort of unique, aren't you? Does any of the guys know? I don't know anyone else that does that apart from you.
Well, I don't know. All I know is it's what we do. And it hurts me to sell a substandard figure. I believe that our success depends upon our ability to produce quality, and we should always try and produce the best quality that we can at all times. And if that means resculpting an older range, then that's what we do. And yeah, I mean, over the years we've completely replaced our Napoleonic range, which was a huge task, but it needed doing because we could do better. And it's the same with the English of War range. If I can take some time to wax lyrical about what we've done with this, the English of War is a period it's always been my favourite, and I've poured an awful lot of time and expertise into this. These figures may only be 6mm high, but they're all in exactly the correct drill position straight from the manuals. I've got practical experience of all of this. The weapons are being held correctly, and I put the sculptor under a huge amount of pressure, and he delivered wonderful results. Again, these are 6mm musketeers, but the bandoliers are all there. The priming flask and the bandoliers. Priming spout and the priming flask and the bandoliers are there. The match cord is actually being held by musketeers in between two fingers in the correct hand during the loading sequence, so they don't blow each other up, basically. But he's followed that to the absolute letter. These things are outstanding, and in miniature, I can't think of other figures with that degree of detail for the size. And look at those and think that's quality. The response from our customers has been amazing. Anybody who's seen these has just fallen in love with them, and we haven't stopped casting them since I brought them out. And this is from people not necessarily interested in English Civil War, but they appreciate the quality of the figures. It's something which we do, but it's commercially it's also proved to be very, very successful too.
I'm just looking at the musketeers that you've done. They are
down, Dave.
Yeah, pretty outstanding, to be honest. Very nice.
I'll tell you something else about the pikeman. Again, it's something which not many people know unless you've done anything in terms of reenactment. When a pikeman holds his pike, a position called advance, which is what most wargamers have, which is where the pike's held in the right hand at about hip level, you actually got to curve your arm around the base of the pike, and you'll hold it with your knuckles facing forward. If you try and hold it as most wargames figures are designed, especially in the larger scales, as if it's sort of just balancing in the cup of the hand with the fingers pointing forward, your pike's just going to fall straight out of your arm. No problem at all.
Yeah.
We've taken the time to get it right at that small scale because it's important. And it's that attention to detail which we try and put into every single figure that makes the difference.
Oh, I don't know what to say next. Actually, I'm just looking at this.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the American Civil War Army bundles and thinking, I really should at some point.
I know. I'm just looking at these pikemen. I'm just thinking, yeah, they're nice.
Yep.
Well, if we couldn't make it tempting, there's something wrong.
It's all pretty nice, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, crikey, from when I first came across you, which I don't know, I think you've been going a year or two when I first came across you. I mean, it's come a hell of a long way, crikey.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, again, for all the comments, but, it's just a natural progression. If we didn't get better every time we produce something, then there'd be something wrong.
Well, it is a natural progression, but I think it says quite a bit about you and Igor because, again, there's lots of figure ranges out there, but all sorts of different scales that rest on their laurels, and you've never done that, Pete.
Well, you're only as good as your last figure range. It's as simple as that.
Oh, yes, very true. Yes.
And there's still an awful lot of work to be done. The nice thing about the new Civil War range is we've actually broadened it and taken it out into the 30 Years War range. And that, again, has proved very popular on the continent. And to accompany that, if either of you two gentlemen are looking at the website at the moment, I decided to do 1 or 2 30 Years War flag sheets to go with that. And in the end, I think we produced 17 of these, which is nearly 400 individual colours from all the major participants in the 30 Years War.
That's a fairly major undertaking in itself, isn't it?
Because it's no use producing little men unless they've got flags to fly.
I was going to say the amount of research that's going to go into that just to get all that sorted.
Yeah, but I had a bit of spare time. Yeah, I mean, I was very lucky. There are publications around that cover most of this. They're not easy to get and they're not cheap. But if you invest in things, it pays off, and that's a basic rule of business. I also enjoy doing the flags as well. And there's some actually stunning examples in there which are just going to look wonderful when I get my 30 Years War Armies done.
Isn't that one of the better reasons?
You have to remember a lot of this is done because I want it.
In terms of the fact that if you want it, you're likely to be more motivated to make it and finish it.
I think so, yeah. I'd agree entirely. You've got to be careful because it can border into what I call vanity ranges, which I'm sure everybody's seen, where somebody produces a range of, 1835 Slobdanian musketeers because you're absolutely certain that once you produce them, everybody's going to buy them because you're very interested in the, Slobdanian War. And then you're quite surprised because nobody buys them. You have to be a little judicious in what you're doing.
So, what else shiny is coming up then?
Well, more Great War. As I mentioned, we've got the Turks and the Anzacs done. I have literally just today released the next batch of figures in this lot, which is all the British in their tropical Middle East gear, their sun helmets and their shorts. And they've just been released in all their glory, as I say, about 5 hours ago. And accompanying division packs and organisational packs. And very, very shortly, in a couple of weeks' time, we're going to be releasing the Indian troops for the same period, which will complete our coverage of the Middle East.
What's that leave you with? You're going about as completist here as Battlefront are in 15mm World War II, aren't you? If not more so.
Tanks?
Okay, come to tanks later. Where we're going next is we're going north, or north and east. We're going into doing the Eastern Front. So I've already got the Russians are already completely sculpted top to bottom. I'm just waiting for one more artillery piece to come in, and they'll be going to mould shortly. Again, lovely little figures. A different sculptor to the chap who does the Civil War stuff for us. But he's got his own attention to detail problems. We always do an HQ set for the Great War, Major Nations, and he's just done a lovely little Russian encampment for me. And in addition to the generals and staff officers you normally get in these, he has done an Orthodox priest in 6mm. And it is just lovely. I can't wait to get this actually, in the metal, so I can paint some.
Wow.
It's these little quirks which just bring it all out. Especially these are mass battles and things like that. But just the HQ set's got that bit of personality. But yeah, the Russians are done. The Austro-Hungarians are all but done. We just need to do the cavalry. And next we'll be moving on to the Serbs and the Italians. And I would hope, again, if all goes well, that we will have completed that project by the end of this year.
That's not bad going.
And that will be all three major fronts of the Great War done beginning to end in 4 years.
One feels one ought to stop and applaud at this point.
Yeah, could have been done quicker. Oh, no, can't rest in laurels, because there's lots still to do. We've done everything on a broad brush, but we need to go back and do some extra little stuff here and there amongst probably all the armies. For example, as I'm constantly reminded, we have no Scots regiments in kilts for the British, so we're going to have to go back and do those. There are various little artillery pieces which we've brushed by because we've gone to cover the major pieces used for each army, usually a field gun, a howitzer, and then a larger, heavier positional gun. But there are more artillery pieces we need to add. Somebody said the T word. Who was that? Was it you, Mr. Luff?
Yes, thanks.
Yeah, okay, yeah. We have vehicles to produce, and who knows, down the road, possibly aircraft. So, yes, it's a subject which isn't going to go away.
Oh dear, yes. Yeah, aircraft, crikey. The amount of uses you could have for those for 6mm. Crikey.
That seems to be a particular rabbit warren to disappear down. Okay, so...
Well, we do aim to please.
Neil's already thinking about World War II aircraft now.
No, I'm not yet. Not yet. No. No, we've got to get tanks out of the way first, which is going to be a nice question. Okay, so so that's your World War One. How are we doing on World War Two? Because obviously, you as you said basically you're at a point now where you've got US, Brits, and Germans done with infantry, paratroops, and other variants, but we have a decided lack of vehicles.
Yeah, well, this is the, as they put it, the $64,000 question, isn't it? It's no secret. We've been working away at this sort of thing for. What we're doing is we're working with 3D designs, 3D sculpts, rather than the traditional model. It's got huge advantages in the fact we will get wonderful consistency in design, wonderful scaling, lots and lots of advantages. But the problem is at the size of model we're working, we're using new materials, new moulding techniques, and we're having basically pretty much to invent the process as we go along. And in anything where you're just starting from scratch, you're learning by mistakes. And by God, have we learned from mistakes over the past few years. But we think we're at a point whereby the models that we've got designed, in the material that we've got, and the moulding process that we've got, should all come together. I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks to actually have a master produced from these three design points all coming together at once. And if this works, it will be the first step in getting to production. Once we get the process completed and perfected, then it's basically just a case of doing as we've done with every other Baccus range, turning the tap on and letting the product flow. But we have to get past this first stage. I'm quietly confident that the next stage we come to will bear the results which we've been working to and will satisfy the quality criteria that we've been looking at.
I was asked. I was asked to ask you from the absent Mr. Hobbs from this show, but he's in need of some Russians, and when you obviously when you started your World War II range, you said, well, the first thing you do is late war Western Front, because that's the most popular theatre. Are you going to be looking at moving into Russians this year, or is that something that's still potentially quite a way off?
Not quite a way off, but the plan, the strategy is to get really stuck into the Western Front and get that to a reasonable state of completeness. Because if we can do that, then to go to Eastern Front is relatively easy for us, in the fact that, okay, we've got to get the infantry, cavalry, armour all designed. But we've mostly got to do that for the Soviets, the Russians, because the Germans can pretty much flip over. We just paint the tanks white. We paint the camouflage smocks white, and the Germans are a reasonably straightforward conversion across. So that will be the plan. Will I put a date on it at this stage? I can't, other than, it will obviously be as soon as we can. But you're certainly not looking this year. You may not be looking 2019, so 2020 is a probability. There is an awful lot of vehicles and artillery to get out for the Allied and German forces for 44-45.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And he doesn't know the fact that Germans seem to have variants of everything upon everything upon everything. So we have an awful lot of those vehicles to produce first.
Okay then, Peter, so that kind of covers your 20th century ranges, and obviously what you're doing with the English Civil War and moving on into the European theatre. That sounds like plenty to be going on with. Are you doing anything else?
Of course we are. You don't think we'd just stay with that, do you? What I'm going to say is subject to change, but I'll explain why after this section. The plan is, once we complete the English Civil War 30 Years' War range, which isn't that far off now, we'll be doing a 9 Years' War range, League of Augsburg, to bridge the gap which we currently have between the English Civil War and the Spanish Succession. And that will also be taken back a bit, so that we'll be able to cover conflict like the Scanian War as well. So that's a nice little side project. That shouldn't take too long, because a substantial part of that is just basically head swaps on the existing 18th century range. And once that's completed, we've, another resculpt. And it's another one of my very, very old ranges, which is in need of some TLC. And that's my Great North War range.
Oh, I know a few people will be happy with that one.
Yeah, I have to admit, we touched on this earlier. When I first started Baccus, the Great North War was not a period that was particularly well known or popular or had any real impact upon certainly the British wargaming scene. And I produced the Great North War range because I wanted it. And to be honest, I don't care whether we'd have sold any or not. It was going to be my range. I touted the idea around so many manufacturers over the years, they'd all laughed in my face. I don't care. And as it happened, it has proved to be a very, very steady, popular range over the years. So much so that the molds are collapsing. So it's time to give them a reboot. And as with all of these things, I've got not only plans to replace the existing codes, but we'll be expanding what we do and how we do it. And I've got some very interesting ideas on that, which I'm not going to share with anybody. You're going to have to wait and see. I don't think anybody will be disappointed by these. Remember, this is another one of my favourite periods. So, I know what I want in my head.
Oh, right, so there's a possibility it could be a little bit indulgent on this, could it?
You know me too well. Yes, yeah. I'm going to have this range, and it will be something special. I've got the precedent of the recent English War range to just give people an idea of what happens when I'm interested in something really interesting.
Cool. Okay, so that's one range that's being redone. Is that the only one you're doing this year?
One thing which may slightly derail all these, you're going to hear this first, so you've got a scoop from Meeples and Pictures. People may or may not know that in my early years, maybe during the 1980s, I was part of a small group of very enthusiastic young men based in Halifax who produced games to take round for shows for people to participate in, which was quite a novel idea in those days. I'm talking a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the leader of this little group was a chap called Ian Beck, who was an amazing guy. He was killed in a very unfortunate car crash in the mid-1980s. He deprived the wargaming world of someone who would have had a major impact on rules, ideas, concepts. Brilliant guy. But one of the games that we touted around, probably our most famous one, was a game called Pony Wars. And the major change about this one was that everybody played the US cavalry, or the settlers, or whatever, and all the hostiles, all the Indians, were controlled by a dice system. It was Hollywood Western, it wasn't meant to be taken seriously, and it was just rollicking good fun. Now, those rules have been out of print for decades, and I have been asked by the two surviving members of the book group to see if we can get them back into print. And I've today just had a conversation with a fellow collaborator. I think you'll hear more about that in the coming weeks. But if I was to say these initials were HH, that might be a bit of a hint.
Who could possibly we know in the hobby with those initials?
Say, I'm quite optimistic that we will get something done on this front. Hopefully this year, we'll see. I'm not going to make any promises, but let's say we've made a start on what's going to be quite a very good first project for me. I think one which will be popular with an awful lot of games. Now, if that's the case, I very, very quickly will want to produce my own playable range. So that I can actually play the games. And that may derail some of the 18th century stuff we've talked about. But we'll have to see how the orchestration, how the timing works. But yeah, you've got an exclusive there, Neil.
Ooh. And I know when we were chatting sometime back in the last year, at one point you were talking about possibly reviving some of your old ECW rules.
What, the Ignis of War rules? Well, no, this is yes. I think more you're thinking of a 30 years old project, aren't you?
That might have been the case. I know we were talking about the fact that you kind of went, we had some rules which kind of, I wrote a while ago and I'd like to revisit.
Oh gosh, now there's lots of rules of projects where I'm concerned, some of which actually may survive contact with reality. Let's start with the current one. The Polymos series has never had a set of 30 years war rules, but after the 7 years war, I would say it's a set that's been most requested. It fits nicely into the mechanic and the way we actually order and put the battles together. And I've always maintained that it needs writing by somebody who's not an Anglophone. It needs somebody who can access sources from across the continent and has more of a feeling for the period. And over the past decade, I've had 3 volunteers, all who agreed to take it on, all of whom have just dropped out, not being able to actually handle it. So in the end, I thought, well, I can handle it myself. So I'm just starting work on what I hope will become a very, very workable set of 30 years war period rules. It's the 400th anniversary, obviously, 1618 to 1648. So we've got 30 years to get it right. But I'm hoping we'll get the rules published in time for some of the quadcentennial battles to be staged. I've got a small group working on them, and we're actually, while we're using the existing Polymos framework, we're actually stripping back an awful lot of the mechanics we've relied on for the past few years and rethinking, revamping. And I think what you're going to get is a game which offers a little bit more tactical nuance than people are used to in current series, but we'll still let you do big battles. Now that's quite a hard set of compromises to pack into one set of rules, but early indications are we've got some nice ideas that will bring away. So that's a bit of a long-term project, but I'm hoping we might see something, say, next year on that.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Now, going back to something that we've talked about before, we've even, myself and Mr. Luff have even seen an example of it. And I know a while ago you were talking about getting an app for Polymos put together. And I know that was kind of put onto a bit of a back burner for a while. And Stuart's developing that for you, isn't he? And how's that going now?
Yeah, Stuart basically was involved in a big build for pretty much most of last year, big site build, and that's his bread and butter work, which didn't leave him a great deal of time to do development work on the app. So I left him alone for a year to actually just try and earn a living, and he's gone with that. So I had a chat with him at the beginning of the year, and yes, the app is now going to be pushed forward quite strongly. We've had it out for testing, which exposed testing does quite a few issues, none of which are insurmountable. In case of tweaking and then adding to and nice things we can produce around the basic core app, which works quite well. The aim is to have it out, I would hope, in the first half of this year, but it's an IT project, so I'm not going to make any further predictions on that. But yeah, we've got a determination to have that available the next few months. And I said, I don't think it's that far away from completion. We're working through a snag list, some of which was actually kindly provided by yourself, if you remember.
It will be available for another round of testing if you need some guinea pigs, I'm sure.
Your name is already at the head of the list.
Yeah, we quite enjoyed it, didn't we, Neil?
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential in that app. It's just, we just got to get past the snags.
I'm sure I could lend a hand.
What happens with any project like this? So it hasn't been abandoned. You've just got to go working through it.
It was good having an IT geek like Neil while we were doing it, to be honest, because he could write it in geek form so that everyone knew what he was talking about.
Well, I have to say, Stuart understood perfect geek.
That's right.
And I was quite happy to.
Excellent
and
stuff.
The two seem to actually communicate quite well.
Because I was saying to Neil, I was going, well, I think this is wrong and this could be improved. And he was like, well, what you mean is geek. Yeah, okay, if that's how it translates, put that down.
Dave, you speak my language.
Hey-ho. Cool. No, as I said, we were really impressed with that, and
we did enjoy it, didn't we? It was we spent a good few evenings having a go at that, didn't we? And we actually had a few goes on our own, didn't we, as well?
We did.
Well, you did. I mean, I'm sure you two have seen it, and even if it wasn't punched out perfectly, you can see how quickly it speeds the game up.
Oh yeah, we straight away.
I mean, our estimate. It would take a game that would last 3 hours and condense it down to 2. You've no charts, you don't even need dice. It just functions so smoothly, and it just lets you play the game. It's just a great way of playing something. But I'm sure we'll have a lot more conversation about that when the finished one comes out.
Oh, definitely. Okay, so talking about other projects, of course, other thing majorly involved in is the Joyous 6. Yes, which unfortunately I missed this year. But yeah, how is that going? Because I mean, we've been on 2 or 3 occasions, and it's a fantastic little show, and not a great new venue.
Well, see, the reason why we haven't actually done any official announcements is the Sheffield University have only just confirmed that the place where we normally hold the event, which is the Heart Space atrium, you've been there, Neil, is undergoing repairs over that period where we would want it. So we're hastily arranging an alternative accommodation And again, this is with Hull University. They do have an alternative for us, which I'll be going to see with the organising team tomorrow, as it happens. And it should all go well with that. And I don't see a reason why not. Why it shouldn't. We'll be confirming everything about this year's Choice 6 next week. So yeah, we'll be held in the middle of July. Yeah, it is a tremendous show. Obviously, it's an absolute mecca if anybody's involved in 6mm or 1300th, 1285 gaming. But the quality of games on offer, again, you've seen with your own eyes, are truly outstanding. Stuff which would walk away with prizes at the shows. And it's all there under one roof. I think the only thing I could say is the one last new item we're working for this year is we'll be producing at long last our Polymos 7 Years War Rules. Much delayed, much anticipated. Written by Nick Dorrell, who is an amazing source of information and knowledge on anything during the 18th century. And yeah, I'm doing the layout over the next few months, so I would hope to have them out by the end of the year. And really looking forward to seeing these. Even to the point I'm going to start to commission the artwork now. So yeah, full speed ahead on those.
Cool. And actually, as a separate question, I have to ask because we had Peter on the show last year. Are we still likely to see the War of the Roses rules?
I'm going to use the E word, which is eventually.
What, as opposed to Easter? Yes.
I'll admit this. What's happened with the development of a lot of Polymos rules was 5 years or so ago, I had a little bundle of joy come into my life called Ben. And for the past 3.5 years, I've been working part-time because I've been helping bring up the little... It's only since he started going to school that I've been putting more hours into work. During that time, the thing that actually went out the window was developing work on Polymos rules.
Right.
So what I did was I had a word with a lot of the authors, including the chap who's done the Wars of the Roses rules, who's got the draft out, and just got to hang fire because I didn't want to put time and effort into something which was just accumulating a backlog of work which wasn't going to get done. And then it's very soul destroying for them to have things in the pipeline for years. Once I get this and another set of rules, once I get the 7 Years War set and another set behind them out of the way and underway, then we'll see about bringing more on behind them as well. So yeah, things are beginning to move forward. So there's a long answer to a short question, which is yes, you will see some Wars of the Roses rules eventually.
Cool. Looking forward to those.
Not as much as I am, believe me.
Because I remember looking at them at a Joyous 6 show 2-3 years ago, something like that. But yes.
Yeah, it was the last show back in the old...
Yes, it was,
so.
yes.
Yeah, and the chap who's written them, Peter, has done a wonderful set. He's brilliant, gives it all sorts of new ideas, basic themes. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what the big final comes out as.
It sounds like, as per usual, you have a full and fun-packed year ahead of you. Even if you get half the stuff done, it's been far too long since we've got together to have this chat, Pete. I mean, thank you for chatting to us. I mean, as always, massive champion of the hobby. Looking at again, it is incredible what you have. You know, the way you've pushed what it is possible to do in 6mm. You know, as you say, looking at some of the miniatures that you're producing and looking, okay, look at what it is and the details on there for the scale. You massively push the envelope, mate, and it's a joy to see. So
thank you very much, Neil.
Yeah, so always great to chat. Thank you very much for coming on.
Okay, you're most welcome.
We wish you all the very best of 2018. Let's hope that coming towards the end of the year, we're in a situation where you have, your next end of 2018 reports. You're going, yes, we managed to achieve all our goals.
Well, that would be a first. I look forward to seeing that.
No, it'll be good, mate.
Okay.
To say thank you very much for being on the show, mate.
You're most welcome. Thanks very much. You take care, mate.
And you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We hope that you're enjoying this episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you are, would you like to support us? There's a couple of ways of doing so. You can become a patron of the show by supporting us on our Patreon page. There you can give regularly every time we produce a show. Alternatively, you may want to give a one-off donation, and you can do that by using PayPal. For more details on both these options, please click on the Donate tab on our website www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. What 6mm army are we getting this year then?
ACW, you already know that.
Neil doesn't do ACW.
That's not my problem.
No, it has to be said that is the one period that I just.
Having said that, I have been playing Gettysburg Ultimate General on Steam.
And I have, I can't remember what it's called, there's quite a nice little kind of CNC-like ACW game on the iPad as well.
Oh, is that implementation of Battlecry?
I don't know. But since I actually for once have the iPad downstairs, because I don't have a phone at the moment, I'll tell you. Talk amongst yourselves for 30 seconds.
Yeah, the only ACW game I've got is Battlecry, which is the CNC version.
Games tab. ACW 1863 Lite.
Oh, okay.
It's the same game engine as something called Peninsular War. I don't know which game engine that is, but it looks it's kind of a bit CNC-ish.
Oh, okay. Yeah, ACW is a one period at the moment. I'm kind of thinking, I don't know, maybe not. Loads of other things to do before then. Yeah. I do really fancy getting some 6mm English Civil War to do for King and Parliament with.
Still fancy some 6mm War of the Roses stuff.
Oh yeah.
Except I already have sufficiently many Perrys that I'm looking to do something with those instead, which will probably disappoint Peter greatly because it will be basically using a sharp practice variant. Sorry, Peter.
Mind you, this but the sharp practice variant for War of the Roses.
Yeah, but that was Pat Smith, Silver Whistle, wasn't it? Speaking of whom, have you got his book yet?
No.
Oh, you haven't. Oh, okay. Well, it's sold out, so you can't. Pat Silver Whistle produced a lovely, lovely book on building winter terrain. Did you not see it? Yes.
Oh, that book. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Mine is sitting here. It arrived, I think, Monday or thereabouts. It is late last week. Barring the fact that for those of us with failing eyesight, I could stand to have the print about 3 font sizes larger. It's lovely. It's a really good read.
No, it was. I think it was a case of winter terrain. I don't plan on doing anything with winter terrain in the near future.
Well, my outstanding foundry order is enough Russians to do Retreat from Moscow. So in SP, so at some point, and also we have Gary from the club muttering about. Gary from the club is actually building inspired by that book. Enough winter terrain that we can, once we're done with Italy, we might move on to the Ardennes just to be different.
Cool, so you can get Germans attacking. Yes.
Yeah, that'll please him. That'll please him greatly.
Good stuff. Right. So, are we about done?
I think we are. I think Dave was done a while back.
Are you busy dying in the corner, you man?
Oh, I'm all right. Just work it out. My next holiday to Spain.
So you can be ill for another 2 months.
Glutton for punishment.
Yeah. Love it.
Right, well, all that remains then is to say thank you for joining us. Thank you to our resident troubadour. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
And all hail the great guru.
Hail Guru Love. Hail Guru Love. Hail Guru Love.
Well, that's been proven that all these things exist. Hopefully, I'll be let out the bloody dungeon that.
Quick, while he's
Hobbs has
not
got me
here,
tied up in.
you could pick the girl's pocket for the keys.
Oh no, let him loose on the world again. No, what have you done to deserve this?
Oh, dude. What have I got to do? Roll 2 successes, Neil.
But the problem is, you've got to use Neil's dice.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Shocking.
And if you don't like that, you've got to use mine, which are just as bad.
How many turns to open the door? 7?
Don't know.
Or was it 8? Anyway, by the boy.
Tragic.
Anyway, thank you both for joining us, and thank you to you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it and found it a useful and interesting show.
And if you haven't, tough.
Aren't you just glad we got him back on? Eh?
Yeah. Whatever Dave says, roll good dice.
Indeed. And take care, everybody. Happy gaming, and we'll speak to you in a couple of weeks.
I reckon we should start selling blessed dice by the guru.
I think we should. We need a Guru Love logo, and then we can have Guru Blessed dice. I'll work on it.
Do you think cursed dice would work as well for your opponent?
Yeah. It's dead simple. You just put your logo on the 1 rather than Dave's on the 6.
Sounds good.
Leave it with me. I need to work out on logo dice for the club anyway, so leave it with me.
Superb. You heard it here first, folks. Right, take care. We'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, why not share it with others by leaving us a review on iTunes? And if you have any comments or questions, you can always email the show. The address is info@meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. And you can also visit our webpage, where you'll find a complete episode archive, all the View from the Veranda podcasts, rules reviews, and our blog of hobby items and news, which is updated several times a week. This is also where you'll find the links to our presence on social media. And here you can follow us on Twitter or join our Facebook group. And finally, here you can also find details should you wish to support us by making a donation to the podcast. All this on the Meeples and Miniatures website, www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.